Joining us now, running for Congress from the 4th District, Sheriff of Henrico, Sheriff Mike Wade. Sheriff, welcome.
Thank you for having me again.
A lot of people think you might pull the upset of the century in the 4th District. Some people think that this is going to be very close. Others say, yeah, mail it in. It's a done deal. I happen to think it's going to be very close. I want to get to these debates. There was a debate in Chesapeake. We were all fired up about it. And your opponent, Senator Don McEachin, at the last minute didn't show up. What's up with that?
Well, he made two claims. He claimed that he didn't want to take, he wanted the rules to say you couldn't take a sentence out of this thing without putting your whole answer in. And the chamber wouldn't agree to that because they don't control who gets the responses afterwards. And then he said it was to a Republican area. But I would point out that the rules were the exact same Thursday night in Richmond when we debated, where he did show up, and he took a single line out of something I said and turned it into a statement that's totally false.
Elaborate on that, because
sure.
Look, this has been picked up in the media. The Richmond Times-Dispatch had it, and then the Democratic Party of Virginia went ballistic over it. Basically, this is a comment that they attributed to you when you talked about some of the police shootings of blacks. You said they were going to jail anyway.
I didn't say blacks. I said the majority of police shootings across the country, the people were on the way to jail, meaning it was during an arrest process. And the statistics show the majority of the people that are arrested in police shootings are doing an arrest process. And by saying I elaborate, which I know most about, is who's in jail. And then I talked about the people that are in jail. 80% of the people in jail have a substance abuse problem and 30% have a mental health problem. So if we're really going to resolve the issues, let's talk about everything around it. Let's talk about mental health and substance abuse as being a problem in the community. You can't solve the problem by just placing blame. You got to solve the problem by looking at all the variables that are there. And that was my way of talking about it from an angle that I actually know about. I've taken care of people in the jail. We've got great mental health. We don't have the best. Nobody has the best, but we do it. We got a great program for substance abuse in our jail. 300 beds in there, and I've got a new heroin program. Those are the issues that are facing the community that need to be repaired, need to be worked on strong. And I mean, he turned it in to making it trying to make me a racist, which really hurt because I've done so much in my life to try to help people everywhere. So, I mean, that's the part that's really disheartening. And the thing about it is, he knows what I said, and he knows who I am because he's complimented me on the things I've done in the past. And to turn it around to do that is just totally false on his part.
Okay, so let's get this straight, Sheriff Wade. So what you're saying is, the way I understand it, because I was not there that night, I was away. I was out of town. I was at the winery for the debate. You're saying that what you said was that in a lot of the police shootings, that the person that was shot was going to jail anyway. And what you meant was they were under arrest at the time they were shot. And you also didn't say blacks or whites. You didn't classify race. So basically you were just making an assumptive statement. Is that what I'm understanding?
Exactly.
Sheriff Wade, we got 15 days in this campaign. You've already covered this one statement you made that you said was taken way out of text. What are the issues now, the three big issues that separate Mike Wade from Don McEachin?
But he believes that the biggest problem we face today is climate change. And I believe we got to work very hard to bring jobs back to the community. He wants to continue the Obama legacy, and I believe there's a lot of things in government that Obama's responsible for, such as the Affordable Care Act and all that need to be changed and repaired. And my big issue too is mental health and substance abuse issues. You see it every day in the work I do and how we don't do enough to help our people, and we got to work hard of it. And he's in favor of bringing 500 100,000 Syrian refugees into this country, and I've said we got to take care of our military vets first. We've got to take care of again, I get back to mental health and stuff. We don't do enough about our mental health people in the country, the people that are suffering from it. And I believe we got to look out for our people first before we go do anything, bringing other people into this country. And immigration, he's in favor of just giving everybody amnesty. And of course, we've discussed my plan before. I think there's got to be some type of penalty for people that are here in the country illegally, and work it out. So, I mean, you pick any issue, and we're pretty much polar opposites.
Okay, so having said that, jobs are a real issue, especially in some of the minority areas that is in your district, Petersburg, Richmond, black unemployment sheriff way up there, especially ages 18 to 30. What does Sheriff Wade plan in order to get to Congress and be proactive in finding ways to create jobs in your district?
Well, I think we've got to, key businesses up with some training so that people can prepare themselves for it. And in that community, you also got to look at the school systems. I think the school systems could do better to prepare people for work. And in schools, we do everything the way that we've done it forever. And maybe we need to change what we teach and how we teach it to the people, really what the focus of the learning is. Can we come up with different areas of instruction that better prepares people for the working world than what we're doing right now? And I think we can. And I also think one of the key things that we need to do in the schools, the absentee rate is horrendous. I think it's 20% in Richmond, and it was 17% in Petersburg. And talking to the teachers, we really need to do something about discipline. And I'm not talking discipline from the reactionary, but discipline from the positive. We need to teach kids how to act in school, and that's what we're not doing. And we got to start at the bottom and work to the top on that. I think that's one of the hugest problems with the education system today is the discipline that's lacked in the schools.
No doubt about that. Sheriff Wade, on Saturday, presidential Republican candidate Donald Trump laying out basically an anti-corruption agenda. He called it the contract for with American voters. I'm just going to go over a couple of them. I want to get your reaction. Number one, he said that if he gets elected president, that he's going to try to initiate term limits for representatives of Congress, House, and the Senate in order to stop these career politicians. If you win, is that something you would be behind?
Well, I tell people I'm 60 now going into it, so I'm there's no way I'm going to be up there forever. This is I'm retiring from being sheriff. I want to go up there to make changes based on things that I've learned in my 42 years of law enforcement experience. So term limits doesn't bother me. I'm going up there with real life experiences. I'm not some young guy that's going up there to make a career, and I don't anticipate being there forever.
All right, now what about, he also said, let me just rattle some of these off, get your reaction. Seems like you're fine with term limits. Second thing he said is that he would restrict lobbying if you are a member of Congress and then you retire, get beat, whatever, you're out, that you couldn't do any lobbying for 60 months. How do you stand on that?
Well, I think, that they passed a law in Virginia that prohibits sheriffs from coming back and lobbying in the sheriff's department a couple of years ago. And it makes sense. It just leads to not finding real solutions, but being pushed in the wrong directions by people with money. I think experience is what should be in Washington, and more so than people that can go up there that can be influenced.
Look, Sheriff,
my opponent, all the money he's gotten is from PACs.
Right.
So,
Sheriff, one thing that Trump's been saying the last couple of weeks is that we have a very corrupt system, that the media is very biased. We're now seeing these WikiLeaks emails come out showing that many in the mainstream media have been totally in cahoots with the Clinton campaign. There's no objectivity going on. We see that the Clinton PACs, there's a handful of people that have raised, we just got this today, $1 billion, that's with a B, $1 billion raised for Clinton from a handful of people. They come from all walks of special interest. We also see that, according to WikiLeaks, that the Clinton campaign has been doing things like inciting violence at Trump rallies. What do you make of this whole thing? I mean, you're running for Congress. You didn't really face this when you were running for sheriff. I mean, do you find that the media in your race, have they been honest, or is it kind of what Trump is saying?
I think I've gotten some good, fair coverage, but I think there's been some skew to it, especially on the issue that we discussed earlier.
Right.
I mean, they're not going back and listening to it. They're just abiding by what my opponent said, and the WikiLeaks thing doesn't make sense. It's like now we want to kill the messenger and not the message. And this whether if I had an informant that broke into a house and he was arrested and he said that there was a dead body in there, am I supposed to ignore the fact that there's a dead body in there because he was in there illegally? No, I think there's cases on law on the books that would cover that information is valid and it could be used. It's not training. There's no difference here how the stuff was obtained, and I really think we, as a nation, should be very, very concerned about the leak of how it's obtained. But the fact that it is obtained, we shouldn't ignore it. And nobody's talking about the fact that the WikiLeaks has picked up the information. But what about the other information that we don't know that they don't have that Hillary could have?
Right.
What about what could come up in the future? How could she be blackmailed because of something else that they may have? It's very, very concerning to me that we could have a president that could be blackmailed by something that they have that we don't know about.
All right. Look, Sheriff Wade, we're 15 days out. You're an underdog in this race, no question, but I believe your race is going to be a little closer than meets the eye. How do you turn the corner and win this election?
Well, I think, for one thing, the only people that say I'm an underdog is the media, and they've said all along that he's the winner. I think we've looked at the district. We're getting around. He's not. Chesapeake, the people I've talked to down there have never seen him down there.
They don't know who he is.
And I have been down there. We've been throughout the district where he hasn't been seen. And I just think we've got a lot of support throughout the districts. I think Republicans are fired up to elect a Republican. The city of Richmond hasn't had a Republican to vote for Congress in years. The Republicans in the Richmond city are really fired up to try to help out. I think we got a great chance of surprising because I'm not too sure he's the best candidate they could have come up with. And I think that's going to play a huge part in it.
All right. So are you predicting victory?
I feel good about victory. I really do. I may be disappointed on the 8th, but I feel like we have a great chance of winning.
All right. Well, we're going to have you back on. I haven't seen Don McKeeshan in Chesapeake either. So many people in Chesapeake, if he jumped in their lap and called them mama, they wouldn't know who he is. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But he has a stronghold when he's working hard there. We understand. I'm out of time. I want to thank Henrico Sheriff Mike Wade for being with us. Mike, we're going to have you back. Keep up the good work. Mike is running for Congress, 4th District. He's opposing Don McKeeshan. This election will be decided on November 8th. Hey, Sheriff, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.